Success isn't given, it's earned. And earning it means becoming the person who deserves it. The bottom line is where we cut through the chaos to simplify success, uncovering the strategies, mindset, and resilience it takes to win. Real stories, expert insights, and practical tools. Because the only way to the top is by putting in the work. This is the bottom line.
Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm your host, Ryan Herpin, and on this show, we like to get honest about what's working and what's not in this ever-changing business landscape. From real-world strategy to hard-earned insights, we go beyond surface-level success into the truth behind the numbers. Today's guest is Darrell Steed. He is the founder of Smartwolf Consulting with more than 15 years in the automotive industry. He's helped dealerships across the country fine tune their fixed ops, improve inventory strategies, and cut the bloated marketing budgets, all while boosting their bottom line. Known for his no BS approach and deep operational knowledge, Darrell is here to talk about what actually moves the needle in this business. Darrell, welcome to the bottom line. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor, and I love talking about how we can improve people. So I'm really looking forward to discussing this with you.
Fantastic. So I kind of want to frame a problem today. I want to look at this from a fun lens here. And I think one of the problems that, dealerships across the country are facing is their service department really isn't hitting those profit goals. And it often feels like they're just spinning their wheels. So I want to dive right in and get to the bottom line, as the name suggests. So why do so many fixed ops departments struggle to be profitable, and what's usually being missed?
Well, I mean, like you said, it's they're struggling with it, and really what it comes down to is a couple things, which will probably be a constant theme with what we're talking about is people. It's finding the right people, but not just finding people that have skills. It's the ones that care, right? Like that actually want to make it work for people, connect with people, and create an experience, right? And so that's the big thing that we're seeing is there's an exodus of talent or hard work or connection that's being trained in people. The other thing that we're not seeing is we're not looking at fixed operations as a way to pull it back in or make it full circle. It's we want to do service and we want to get these big tickets. But just like sales, we're not looking at is this the best thing for our future business? And so we're not creating that dynamic of where you are the trusted source against all the other competition. When you look at, let's say, a franchise dealership, their competition isn't other franchise dealerships anymore. It's the Jiffy Lubes, it's the Midases, it's everyone can do these type of services. So if you're gonna be a little bit more, which is perfectly fine, your service, your care, your connection, your ambiance when you're there has to be elevated. Otherwise, I'll go get it done by Uncle Joe in the backyard type of service.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. If there's one thing that I know is very, very true, the customer experience creates loyal customers to come back. That's just really what it is. People don't always remember the service. The thing is always going to be the thing. What people remember is the interaction, the overall atmosphere, the kindness, the willing to attend to them, right? There's a whole lot of that human aspect
Sure.
that's easily missed. So something that I've always been a numbers guy. Doing what I do for a living, I'm also all about the numbers. But what is the first number or metric every service manager should track, but often misses?
I mean, my opinion, I mean, you could make this an argument for pretty much anyone and get 10 different answers, but it's got to be what is the life cycle of that customer? You've sold them a vehicle, now you're going to service it. How many times are we going to see them back? And what's the value of that customer? And you really should know that so that if I know outside of the car blowing up, right? And you have to fix the whole thing, but you should know we know they're going to be back here 4 times in 3 years, and we are going to make X off of this customer. And if you see that go up or down, you should be making pivots of why that's happening. The other thing would be that most people would probably agree with is you need to know your efficiency in your shop. What can you do and how quickly can you do it? But not just fast, efficiently. So it's not just about speed. You have to look at the effectiveness of stall efficiency, what you're doing per hour, who's doing that. And I can give you a quick example. I was working with a store, and there was a guy that was like at 120% efficiency. The guy was just cranking out stuff. And everyone's like, well, we don't want to like change that. We don't want to take away because he's billing more hours than like the average guy. Now the downside to that was is we had a lot of comebacks. So though he's billing those out, then work had to get done a second time. So there's this, you have to understand what your effective efficiency is, not just how quick can we get them in and out.
That's also a really good point. Something that I kind of summarized from some of the things I pulled out there is, and it's something I go back to a lot, is you cannot manage what you do not measure. If you're
Absolutely.
not measuring everything, you have no idea what kind of opportunities you're missing to utilize that knowledge. Like, something we said before we started recording this segment, is people say knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is really the power. The data is useless if it's not utilized, and you can't utilize it if you don't have it. So there's really good points in there. So you talked about stall efficiency, but you mentioned it. So can you explain stall efficiency in how it impacts the bottom line in simple terms?
Yeah, I mean, real simply put, if I have, you go into a shop, they have 10 stalls. If I'm going to do an engine and that takes 8 hours, that's a whole day's worth of work. Now, simple math is okay, if I'm going to make $2,000 a profit to do this engine, it costs 6,000, we charge 8, we make 2,000 bucks. How many jobs could I have done in that stall to make that same amount of money? So is that the best use of my time? Not saying you're going to refuse it, but you need to understand I can't take 6 engine jobs and tie up 6 lifts if I can actually put $5,000 through that every day and I'm only making 2,000 on it a day or whatever it may be. So you really have to look at what jobs are more profitable, which jobs are profitable with quick turn, and you want to make sure that you're constantly moving that in and out of the shop so that you're not tying yourself down to what you think is the good job. You're like, oh, we're billing 8,000. Well, but if there's only $1,000 profit, is that the best use of your time?
See, that's something I feel is so easily overlooked in a lot of different industries. It's they look for these big ticket items, big ticket services, products, whatever it is, and they just go after that. But they're not. They're missing the value to time portion there. How much time is really spent to gain that value? Because it might be a bunch of
Sure.
smaller jobs that add up to being more than that one big one, right? Yes, there comes additional complexities and whatnot, but sometimes the return on investment is better if you steer away from some of those time consuming jobs that you can't turn a big profit on. But what systems or tools have you seen work best in fixing those broken processes in a service department?
You've got a lot of new softwares out there, and now with AI becoming the new hot buzzword, I'm sure that these will become even more efficient, or Skynet will take over one or the other.
Right.
Is you have like iRecon or Fixed Ops Digital or a couple of those guys out there. Rapid Recon's a really well-known one where it's when you look at these things, they're making everyone be efficient because there's an accountability to each thing. So the tech has one, the advisor has one, the parts. So it makes everyone stay in that efficiency zone, and they're colored, right? So if you're in red, you're too far, like you should have been done things. And all it does is essentially, like you said, we're now measuring and putting a mirror and when or a magnifying glass on it. And when we do this, it's like, okay, well, now everybody knows what they're doing. There's no more, well, he said and she said. No, it's like everyone has to do their job, as like Bill Belichick said. You just do your job. Don't worry about doing anyone else's job. If you do your job, we're going to obviously do well. And I think that's kind of the key of being efficient is understanding you don't need to do make up for other people. You just need to be efficient at your position or your job and take accountability for it rather than if this person would have done that. Like, we can't get caught up in that, right? We have to take that self responsibility. The other thing too about fixed stops when we were talking about the measure, I will tell everybody as a coach and somebody that has been working in dealerships for a long time, though you need to measure it to manage it. That is true. And you should measure everything so you can manage it. I will also tell people don't start measuring something unless you're going to manage it, because all it does is create a pitfall of like, oh, I'm failing in that area as well. So I'm not saying don't do it, but if you're going to go like this, now that we have the measurement, we're not going to manage it. It's just one more area that you're causing roadblocks and disconnects.
That was pure gold. And I've got to highlight one aspect of that you touched base on multiple times within it was accountability. right? And one of the philosophies I have is accountability is best when it's as simple as cardboard and crayons. Accountability is so powerful yet so avoided, and methods I've used in the past are as simple as whiteboards with here's how many hours you have, here's how many hours you did, here's where you're at, here's how much you have left. Things like that can really make a difference. So implementing the right tools, software can give the people, the team, the visibility they need to meet their target and to
Sure.
exceed expectations.
I agree. And when you say like accountability, it starts with communication. I mean, everything starts with communication. But do we like, and this is where we've lost it. And I make jokes about this in the sense of like, we know that the COVID happened and this changed the industry quite a bit, and I'll say like, it then spanned through that and we had the fake flu and we had all these things going on. And so we had all these changes. However, we lost an exodus of talent because we kind of became like auto dealership millionaires, right? Money was just coming in. People just had to do it because they got so pent up. And now we're getting back to where you need to have a skill set and training. So accountability starts with that communication. Do your people even know what their goal is? Do we communicate that in a way they understand? Not telling someone this is what you need to do. Do they understand it and interpret it as such? So, we really need to get back to that core philosophy of communication and training and development so people actually know what's expected of them and then how to execute it so that they're not guessing of if you leave me to my demise, I'm going to do it the best way I know how. And it probably more than likely is not going to be anything like you want. But I'm going to do the best I can to get it done. It's how do we make sure that it aligns with the same vision so we're all rowing in the same direction?
That's so much to unpack there, but you're so right in so many levels. And to our audience, if you're enjoying this conversation like I am, don't go anywhere. Maybe grab some popcorn, coffee, do some stretches, whatever it is you got to do. But we're going to be back with more Darrell on the bottom line.